This is just a...
Hello and welcome back to Road to Rebirth. My name's Roland Squire, and today's guest is someone who I think I can probably call a Jurassic franchise ambassador. You know him from the podcast See Jurassic Right, his work within the podcasting world with My Favourite Murder, the Percast and more. Please welcome Stephen Ray Morris to the show.
I don't know why I'm applauding for myself. Can I just say off the bat that you have the coolest name ever, Roland Squire. Like that is
Thank you
that
very
sounds
much.
like I mean, I guess the guitar, you know, but
I do
so
actually
cool.
play guitar as well. And so when I used to have to go in and buy musical instruments, it was like, sorry, you've got the wrong name. Yeah.
You have it personalized. You have your own personalized guitar, basically. Thanks for having me.
I'm a huge fan of See Jurassic Right. I just love the mixing of fandom and community and everything. It's not just about Jurassic Park. It's about a whole host of other things. But what I'd love to chat today about is your excitement for Rebirth, really. So,
sure, yeah.
What scale are you at a 10 yet?
Yeah, I think so. It's interesting, and I'm curious of your position on it as well, because the fingers are coming up. I'm counting off a list. No, but you know, I think like a lot of people, I think around our age, like Jurassic Park made such a huge impact, and it was like, are you going to become a paleontologist or a filmmaker? You know, are you going to become a scientist, or are you going to get into creativity? And I obviously went down the creative path, but get to enjoy my passion for dinosaurs and everything doing See Jurassic Right. But when I got older, Lost in Translation, which stars Scarlett Johansson, was the movie that as a teenager was like, okay, I liked movies and stuff when I was a kid. I loved Jurassic Park. Here's like a grown-up movie. I mean, it is a grown-up movie. I don't know why I'm putting it in air quotes, but that was like, that solidified me wanting to go to film school and kind of set me on the path that I am now. And so like the fact that one of our greatest living actors who kicked me off into wanting to actually commit to this like creative path in the franchise of like basically the most important movie of my life. So the fact that those two things were mixing together, I mean, it still really hasn't quite hit me, I think, that this is happening. And then combined with the fact that I love Rogue One and I love Gareth's melancholy sci-fi aesthetic, it just feels like going into this movie, it's like for me in a weird way. And so again, I'm curious your thought about, because the marketing itself for the movie almost is just whatever it is. It's exciting, but but I was already hooked in before any of that stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, so for me, the second they announced it and that it was David Koepp coming back, and that we'd have to wait just over a year to see it, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. The David Leitch stuff made me go take a deep in breath at one moment, and then suddenly Gareth Edwards came on, and I was like, I can't believe this is just getting better and better and better, the people that are involved with it.
Yeah. Well, and I think the strategy I've talked about on my podcast, I think the strategy for Universal is that they really want everyone to love Jurassic Park again in a way that might be truer to the original Jurassic Park, as far as the getting Gareth's melancholy sci-fi, like getting that sublime part more checked off, rather than, you know, and I do love the Jurassic World movies. I think there was more, they became more about almost, I don't know, it's the Crichton aspects of Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, I think, were very underappreciated. So I'm also somebody where I don't want people to forget about those movies. And I actually think that, if anything, maybe Rebirth, sort of going back to basics, will make people appreciate the ambition of those movies, you know, years down the line. I don't know. I mean, is that resonating with you at all?
Yeah, I think so. And it's the same with so many franchises. They speak to the time that they're in.
Yeah.
And so when the Jurassic World films came along, they were in the universe of, when I first sat down, I was expecting, I think for Jurassic World, a film that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
That, too much time had passed
Yeah.
for me to think that Jurassic Park 4 would be the same as Jurassic Park 3 and The Lost World. We had the Marvel films. That's what they were coming into, and they
Yeah.
needed to hit big. Otherwise, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I think the success of those films has just allowed Rebirth, hopefully, to be a little bit more experimental and go, we think this film will make money. So let's just try something.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty unprecedented for a movie to be fast-tracked in this way, where the sort of surrounding ecosystem around it isn't quite ready, which actually it feels not dangerous, because it's, it's a huge studio and all millions of dollars are being put into it, but it doesn't feel like by the book. Like, we're just gonna, we really like this idea, let's just throw it out there.
Yeah.
And I am curious, have you seen Alien Romulus?
I haven't, no.
Oh, okay. Well, so I won't spoil anything. I won't say anything. But Brian Fennessy of The Big Picture talked about how last year was the emergence of the No Homework sequel, like Twisters and Alien Romulus, where
such a good,
right? Like, it's such a great way to think about it, because it's really disheartening to see people be like, I don't want to watch this because I have to catch up with X, Y, and Z. The studios, by making everything Marvel and so interconnected, it was starting to put a lot of pressure on audiences to keep up. And I think we're seeing a healthy readjustment. And I think Twisters and Romulus were really great examples of carry on the legacy of their franchises. Obviously, Twisters is a lot smaller, but Alien Romulus was something that I initially didn't like. It didn't wow me initially, but the more I watched it, the more I appreciated, like how you're saying, that maybe Rebirth gets to be smaller, gets to be a little bit more experimental, doesn't have to be the globe-trotting Fast and the Furious, like, giant CGI ring in the sky. Like, it doesn't have to do all of that. It can be smaller.
Yeah. And I think audiences, I think they're, studio heads and everything are susceptible to what critics say, and they can't just keep shoving stuff out that costs a lot of money. Go, just give more spectacle, more of that, and people will come and watch it, and they're like, maybe they don't come and watch it all, and I think they're just like, okay, we need to go back to the basics. Let's go back to script and character.
Yeah. I think it should be a fun challenge, because I recently watched Gareth Edwards' Godzilla for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And so I did kind of a weird, like, I saw Monsters, I saw Rogue One, went back to his first film, Monsters, then saw The Creator, and then went to Godzilla. So kind of like
okay.
But but if anything, his Godzilla makes me really excited. It was the most recent boost to me, because the sense of scale and the relationship that like, even though they're giant CGI monsters or middle-sized CGI dinosaurs, that there's like a real like weight and artistry to the way that they're portrayed on screen, versus like, and personally for me, Jurassic World is my least favorite Jurassic Park movie, because I feel like the relationship between the dinosaurs and the humans felt very disconnected, other than the dying apatosaur scene. And I really want, and even in the trailer, we haven't seen that much of the dinosaurs, but just, it doesn't have to be about people touching the dinosaurs. Like, that's why I love Fallen Kingdom, because everyone's touching like these handful of animatronics, and they're bleeding and sweating and mucus.
It's probably my favorite of the world films.
Okay,
definitely.
Cool. Yeah. And so, but even just the dynamics between the way people are looking at and interacting with the dinosaurs, even if they're just CG, I don't know, it already feels a little bit more, I don't know. It just, again, it's that Marvel thing where some of them start to feel weightless because nobody's in the same room together.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's, I don't know. It's just, I'm curious to, I'm so glad that he decided to take this on, because like,
I know.
He's just like,
I thought he was too burnt from his experience with Disney.
Yeah.
So I'm just really glad that they've that he's decided to do this. I saw Monsters at the Prince Charles Cinema when I was at university.
Really? Oh, you saw it in theaters.
And I was just blown away by the fact that he did this in his bedroom, essentially, on a laptop.
Yeah.
I was just, he needs to make films.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because as somebody who used to work in visual effects, like that was kind of the career path that I was started to go on. And then podcasting kind of took over, comedy journalism, whatever, all that stuff kind of led to where I'm now. But I think he is such a like process guy. And I feel like that to me is what I think you can just tell when people are having fun, you know, unless you obviously there is some, you know, you always hear stories about somebody, Julianne Moore doing Lost World because of a paycheck. She had to, she was getting a divorce. So, and obviously look, I'm very happy when people do stuff, no matter whether it's for a paycheck or not. But I think it's just endearing to know that people want to be there. And it hasn't come out yet, but I interviewed DeWanda Wise, who is in Jurassic World Dominion, as Kayla Watts. And I think everyone, even people who did not like that movie, loved her in it and thought she was such a standout.
Best thing about it.
And just lit up the screen every moment she was there. And I think it's because she was really involved in the process and crafting that character. And so, I think it's so hard in these giant movies to feel like you have any ownership over any of it. And so, again, it is refreshing to see Gareth be like, in the way that those initial interviews when he was announced, where he was kind of like, oh, I was in between projects. And you know what? What the hell? Why not? Why wouldn't I want to do a Jurassic Park movie? This would be such an honor. I get to play. I get to have fun. And again, I'm sure he probably post Rogue One has a better idea of how to manage his relationship with the material, and I think that's why even Colin Trevorrow, I Battle at Big Rock and Dominion are definitely better directed movies than Jurassic World, even if obviously different flavors and everything, but I could definitely tell that you can have ownership over material even if you didn't write it. And so I don't know, it's just such an interesting cocktail to be going into this movie.
I know. And I really like his approach to Godzilla, and some people say that Godzilla and the characters, like the human characters, are not very human, or they're kind of a little bit too two-dimensional. But I really like the fact that Aaron Taylor Johnson's character almost starts to emulate Godzilla by the end of it.
I didn't think
because
about
that. There's an action film from the 60s called The Train. It's one of my favorites, with Burt Lancaster. And as the film goes on, he slowly he stops being human almost and becomes more machine. And I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's character's journey in that film is to try and protect his family and get back to his family. And Godzilla in the film is righting a wrong that we've done on Earth against nature. And I feel like that's what Aaron Taylor Johnson is doing. So they're both working towards this kind of similar goal to protect something. And that's why I feel, that's why it's never really, I really like the fact that he starts being less verbal as the film goes on. And he's just more about action and function and doing.
Well, and to your point, that was something recently Brad Jost from the Jurassic Park podcast and I talked about, this Godzilla movie. What was sparking that extra excitement for Rebirth was the first trailer for Jurassic Rebirth is very fun. It's exciting, but personally it was very kind of just a lot of tropes. It was like, it's all the kind of one-liners and all that stuff, which is very fun, but it didn't get me more excited for the film because it was that thing of like, oh, we're going back to the island. We're sort of retreating from our ambition. But then after seeing Godzilla and the way that Gareth Edwards is able to sort of craft these like splashes of character for the time that you have them. You have 10 minutes with Bryan Cranston or 15 minutes and you get a full story. It's like the opening of Up. And that made me go like, okay, well, this is just a trailer and it's showing you the top layer of who these people are. But then, when we're watching the movie, it's like, that's just the top. And then through his visual storytelling, you'll get to know what these characters are really like beyond the tropes. That's my hope
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. No, I think you're talking about him, doing a process and process based. I think that's how he approaches the story as well.
Yeah.
It kind of like breaking it down into separate elements. Well, here's character A, B, and C, and I need these characters. It's almost like he's thinking at the end goal at the
Yeah.
first bit where he's doing it, because I suppose his background in doing post production work, it's like the filming is the bit that gets you to the fun stuff, maybe,
Yeah.
which is the actual construction of the story in the film and doing that. So yeah,
Yeah.
he seems really laid back doing this
Yeah.
huge film.
Yeah. What did you think of the creator?
Yeah, really enjoyed it. I didn't see that in the cinema. I didn't.
Oh, I regret not seeing it. Yeah.
And again, that's his reaction to Rogue One. It's just like, I want to prove that I can do a huge story for half the money that you think that you need to spend on one.
Yeah. Well, and also the level of visual storytelling and visual and lore without exposition.
Yeah.
Even though the supposed confirmed runtime for Rebirth is, it's not the longest, but it's certainly not the shortest. And,
No.
It's no JP3, which,
No.
I mean, that runtime, though, JP3's runtime has sparked so much joy and all the space that we get to talk about that movie. But I think the creator for me was a little disappointing, if only just because it's almost like the visual storytelling is so rich. I wanted those tropes to ring a little bit more true. I don't know. I've seen it a couple times now. I regret not seeing it in the cinema. But as far as the creator goes in relation to Jurassic World Rebirth, I'm so excited for the way that he will tell the history of this franchise through that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it is true. It's the visuals. It's show don't tell. It's saying to your audience that, and knowing that your audience is clever, and just they will pick up on it.
A clever girl.
Yeah. He's also quite reluctant to, apart from the interviews that we've seen that he did on the announcement and more recently with Empire.
Yeah.
He's not somebody on social media.
Yeah.
In fact, nobody really in this film is.
Yeah.
Nobody's letting stuff out. So it's a very different experience to when Colin was in charge and giving little hints and photos.
Yeah.
And so you just don't know what to expect when you go in and sit down, which is quite nice, I think.
Yeah. I mean, as of this recording, there's no second trailer yet, but we'll see. I mean, yeah, we were saying a little bit before recording that obviously we are making things and wanting to keep up and all that stuff. I feel like the week before the movie comes out, I kind of like go dark, because I just am,
right. Yeah.
Because that's when stuff like really starts to come out, and and I want to try and preserve some of that magic. I think I was very lucky that I had the opportunity to go to the premiere for Dominion and getting to see it, knowing that the cast was in the audience and getting to, be there. I don't know. There's just something really cool about I will never not see a Jurassic Park movie as soon as I possibly can, because that first week is so special. And so I feel like it's worth the sacrifice, sort of. Yeah, you have to sort of let go a little bit a couple weeks before, because it's just, I'm trying to think of some moment, like the final Indominus fight against Rexy on Main Street, or in Fallen Kingdom, the Macy pushing the button. Like, those are just great moments that I remember when I saw them.
Is through your podcast, is there kind of one one fan story, because you've spoken to so many people, that really sticks out with you in your mind as being a Jurassic story?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I mean, I always come back to Chris Pugh from Jurassic Outpost carrying around his Red Rex like it was his pet, and I just thought that was super endearing. I really loved that. And I mean, it's funny because it's like the Jurassic wedding thing, like that is, like people playing that. Like I guarantee you that in like 100 years, when people are thinking about a wedding theme, it's actually going to be the John Williams Jurassic Park theme song.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be
Yeah.
Pachelbel's Canon or whatever. It's going to be like, da-na-na-na.
I have been to a few weddings where that's been played.
No, same. I mean, it's great. I love hearing the Jurassic Park theme song at a wedding.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite stories most recently is my friends Mina and Jordy. They got engaged, and it was a Jurassic Park engagement, surprise engagement, where Jordy, who's an improviser, that's the right word, D&D guy. Basically what he did was he hosted it was during the 30th anniversary screening of Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
So he used that as a way to work with a movie theater, do a 30th anniversary screening. So yeah, Mina is just watching. They're like, oh, they're just going to like, oh, we're going to go see the 30th, a 30th anniversary screening of Jurassic Park. 10 minutes in, Jordy comes out full Hammond outfit. It's during the clone, like Mr. DNA sequence. And like all the lights come on, Mina's entire like friends and family and like everybody is there. And then they basically what Jordy did along with some of his friends and some folks that I know is that they basically did like, instead of How to Make a Dinosaur, it was basically like tracing their relationship through animation and visual effects. Like my friend Meg is a makeup artist and everything. Some of the Corridor crew, like who they know in LA. So it's basically like, oh, here's all the friends and everything that like brought their relationship together. And then so it's their own Mr. DNA sequence with like a Minosaurus essentially. And then when that was over, then he proposed, and it was great.
Good grief.
Yeah.
That makes me as an English person feel slightly that's quite a lot.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. I wish I could have been there for it, but that was a more recent story that was just a cool way to.
That's an amazing story.
And I think that's why, again, the podcast after a while, it's funny because I love what you're doing with this podcast, because that's kind of how See Jurassic Right started, which was the road to Fallen Kingdom for me, was being in this world of podcasting for a few years at that point and wanting to like find a way to continue my love of Jurassic, because there was a community and a fandom sort of Jurassic World came out and was like, oh gosh, we're back. Like, we had all taken a break for 14 years after Jurassic Park 3. And so I just wanted to look for a way to express my own love of this franchise and also, hear people's stories.
When I stumbled across the Jurassic Cast podcast, I think probably in 2014.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I really thought, apart from the Dan's JP3 page.
Yes. Oh my God. We'll have to talk about that for a second. But finish what you were saying.
I just suddenly, when I heard that podcast, I was like, oh my God, there's other Jurassic Park fans out there.
Yeah.
And the Dan's JP3 page was, oh my word. I can't even. I used to sit in my dad's office and just sit on Jurassic Park, Dan's JP3 page.
Did you? So you were on the forums and everything?
I was more of a lurker, probably. I was just desperate for news of Jurassic Park 4, really.
I was JP Exciter was my username. For Tom Fishenden, I'm calling you out, Tom. Beautiful baby boy. Dan's JP3 page was the spot, back in 2000, 2001, just for the new. I can like see the website in my sleep. I've probably mentioned this before on See Jurassic Right, but how there's like people have like totems like Inception, where it's like the thing that tethers you to reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a version of that, which is when on the internet, when you would play those little 120 by whatever trailers of Jurassic Park 3 clips, like that media page, there was the deleted scene of Ellie in Jurassic Park grabbing the leaf. And so I downloaded that QuickTime file, and that QuickTime file is on the computer that we're talking on now.
Oh,
like it has become my sort of good luck charm that has passed on from computer to computer as sort of like I leave it on my desktop as like a good luck charm, essentially.
Yeah, because you'd have to have dial up internet, and then nobody would be allowed on the phone because you were downloading like a 2-second clip from Yeah, Jurassic Park 3.
Mom, I'm arguing about whether or not the comics are canon, or something.
Yeah. Sorry, kids out there listening. This is what the internet was like.
But it was, yeah, I mean, it was that, people would share their fan fiction. It was the place to, JP4 rumors
Yeah.
and talking about, again, the production of JP3 was so troubled and partially online
Yeah.
because there was clips and that, it was that because Jurassic Park and Lost World were essentially pre-internet, like
Hmm.
internet community. It was like Jurassic Park 3 was catch up for all the kids like us,
Yeah.
and then when Jurassic World hit and was a big thing, Jurassic Collectibles and Jurassic Outpost, Victoria's Canteen, like places like that where it's like
Hmm.
everyone again was like, "Oh gosh, we're back,"
Yeah. Do you find yourself now maybe too close to the material of Jurassic? Do you think that you enjoy it in the same way that you did?
I mean, I think that's unavoidable. I think it's that problem where it, it is funny to complain about something like this, but it is almost Jurassic Park is played so often in theaters that at least here in the US, like it doesn't, not that it isn't always magical when I watch it, but it's just one of those things where I'm almost taking it for granted now, where it's,
Hmm.
I probably saw it 2 or 3 times in 2023. I saw it last year. Like, I think if anything, it makes me want to dig deeper. But yeah, I mean, it is a thing where it's like I'm watching stuff for content essentially, or I'm
Yeah.
research and everything, and
Yeah.
I definitely am in the mood to rewatch all the films in order, like to prep for Rebirth. Like I don't
Yeah.
like when was the last time you've watched, just like sat and watched any of the Jurassic Park films without like taking notes or being like, okay, this is here, I'm watching this for this
Um,
episode.
it was it was either last year or the year before in cinema. We had the 3D. It was just in
Oh, cool.
where I live, and it was just on the cinema for one night, and it was 2 days after my birthday, and it was a packed cinema, and yes, that was the last time I saw that, and then immediately I'm just like, right, okay, I've got to watch Lost World now, and then it just kind of sparks off that thing.
No, it's most recently for me, one of the most joyous experiences was last year with my buddy Chris Bramante watching The Lost World on the big screen for the first time since
Wow.
1997. And that was
Yeah.
really cool cuz yeah, they don't show the other movies as much.
No. No.
And I am personally, again, I previously stated that Jurassic, I mean, I love all these movies,
Mhm.
but I'm disappointed that there's not gonna be any 10-year anniversary stuff for Jurassic World.
I
I
know.
think it's weird to me that you can't have a new movie out and still celebrate what came before, you know?
I know. Yeah. And I think they're missing an audience with that that are not like as old as me who saw Jurassic Park, when I was 6. There's people who saw Jurassic World when they were 6, and
Yeah,
it's going to have as much of an impact on them as Jurassic Park did for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're so right, and next year is the 25th anniversary of JP3.
Yeah.
And I think that as far as that film goes, and I don't know if you've noticed it, but it really feels like that film has become maybe the second best Jurassic Park film, like
Yeah.
culturally or in the
Yeah.
community. I think
Yeah.
like the sort of
Daniel Stephen will be very happy to hear this conversation.
yes, yes. Oh my gosh, you will be. I was joking, but I think it's true. Like we're ready to have a Spinosaurus summer. It's going to be in Walking with Dinosaurs. It's going to be in
Yeah,
Rebirth. Like
it is. Yeah.
I think there, like to your point, there are kids who were, because I was 14 when Jurassic Park 3 came out,
Mhm.
but I think people who are 10, who are 6, now all grown up, like the Spinosaurus was the baddest of the
Yeah.
bad. And like other kind of nostalgic figures, like somebody like Jar Jar, for example, which also,
Mhm.
got a
Mhm.
redemption arc.
Yeah.
I think the Spinosaurus is on that, and then combined with the new science. So I
Mhm.
think it's really been like converging that Jurassic Park 3 has become such a delight, and the Spinosaurus is now, yeah, like one of the top megafauna, dinosaurs.
And I think Jurassic Park 3, as much as it was kind of, it stopped the franchise for such a long time, really, or stalled it. I think they were constantly working on, Spielberg never gave it up. But that idea that Jurassic Park, there's much more to talk about with Jurassic Park 3 than I think even with The Lost World or Jurassic Park sometimes, because you can talk for hours about what that film could have been. All these, the fact that the script was thrown out. Joe Johnston must have just been pulling his hair out. He went on record saying before the filming started that he asked his agent to take him off the film. I mean, it's how could it was a film production that played out in front of everybody, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, in the James Mottram visual history of Jurassic Park, there is a moment, a great quote. It's full of Joe Johnston. Like, Joe Johnston throws some great quotes in that book. But one of them was like, how's the movie going? And he's like, if I could swim back to the mainland, I would. And, as far as it's like, what was the, I can't get it right now, but there's a great quote, and I'll send it to you, about the Jurassic Park 3 title. Like, what do you think it's going to be? Just this kind of exasperated, like, just call it Jurassic Park 3. They know what they're getting. Yeah.
Because it was called Extinction for a bit, wasn't it? I think that was the idea, and they thought that's too much of a downer because we might want to do Jurassic Part 4.
Yeah, it's always funny. It's always funny when franchises give a final sign off and then go back again. What do you think of the Rebirth title? I can't remember if I've heard your thoughts on it.
Again, it's not great. It's not the best. I think it's okay. Yeah. I think it feels like a bit more of a pleading to the people that aren't the super fans to say, look, come on, please, look, we're doing something again. Yeah, Rebirth. I'm trying to think if that is in any other franchise that I can think of that springs to mind.
I think Jaden NJ Rassick said that Rebirth is like kind of a big video game title.
Okay.
Like Final Fantasy Rebirth, and it's used a lot in that. I think I kind of feel the same as you, but I've really come around to it just in the fact that eggs and birth and life finding a way, like, it works in that context, you know? So it is funny that every Jurassic Park movie almost essentially has a different titling methodology. I think it would have been icing on the cake if Jurassic World Dominion was Jurassic World 3 Dominion. Like, then they truly would have been 7 different naming conventions.
I wonder whether Rebirth is their idea of what's going to come after this. Like, maybe I'm almost anticipating that this film will be quite apocalyptic in its tone towards the end. I think I am anticipating that whatever is on this island is going to be more dangerous than a dinosaur or a mutated dinosaur. I think something else is going to be there, because just by reading The Lost World and the DX virus, and that moment at the end of the book where they're thinking about the fact that could potentially be spreading across Costa Rica, and when I spoke to James Lovegrove and our discussion about what Crichton would have done and the idea of a kind of post-apocalyptic world with dinosaurs in feels quite Crichton-esque.
I'm curious about your thought, because it is that weird where dinosaurs were spreading across the world in a vague kind of way at the end of Dominion. This seems like it's retreating, but I almost feel, I don't know, marketing is so much about putting you in a certain headspace before you see the movie, but it's not actually what the movie is. And I'm also just extremely curious to how, because I think there was a quote saying, David Koepp was saying, like, I'm not going to undo any canon or anything. Like, this takes place after Dominion, but I think there is a lot. I think my biggest preoccupation with the movie, in a way that's kind of good, where I'm not actually thinking about the movie itself, so that'll stay sort of mostly pure to me, but it's almost just like, okay, there's another island with dinosaurs. Well, Lockwood, created the first Jurassic Park dinosaurs in the manor, but then there was also Isla Sorna. And then when I was rewatching Dominion, all this stuff with Charlotte takes place in 1997. Ellie knew Charlotte in 2000. Hammond died, you know, like
Yeah.
it's they've constructed this enormous web that is just not really
No.
necessary for the movies that you're actually watching. But I'm just now, yeah, I wonder how much of that is those T's, those I's are going to be dotted and those T's are going to be crossed, or if it's really going to be maybe, again, like we were saying at the beginning, more of Gareth visual storytelling to like tie all this stuff in together, whether it's like, yeah, having a Charlotte Lockwood cameo on a video screen, or a oh my God, Sir James
Yeah.
Cromwell, and or playing some
Yeah.
old Richard Attenborough audio
Yeah.
from Trespasser and
Oh,
using the best bits, you know, like
yeah.
that's I'm kind of glad that I'm thinking about that stuff
Yeah.
rather than what is actually going to happen in the movie. I don't know. How are you feeling about all
Yeah,
that stuff?
I'd love some love for Sauna, and maybe just more than a drop
Yeah.
line. But
Yeah.
I think he's really from the latest stuff in Empire. I think the idea of the disastrous Rex and the other mutated dinosaurs that are on this island feel, from what he's saying, that they are Jurassic World era creations. That's what
Oh,
it,
interesting. Okay.
because they talk about in there that him and Spielberg had a conversation about the fact that in Jurassic World they wanted to keep making dinosaurs scarier and more vicious,
Yeah.
and some of those experiments would have gone wrong. And that's sort
Yeah.
of, this is now the dumping ground of where maybe Wu, which changes Wu's character quite a bit in that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that is interesting. I actually hadn't read that part yet about the world. Yeah. So maybe saying this is like where the Jurassic Park, you know, the site of the original Jurassic Park, maybe that it's actually going to be world
Yeah,
in the movie.
I
And
think.
that's just a misdirect.
Well, I think maybe it's an island that was owned by, whatever Masrani took
Yeah.
over potentially, and then this was
Yeah.
just, oh, well, we've got to put these things somewhere. Let's just shove them on
Yeah.
this island that we've got, that we've inherited.
Well, I mean, wasn't that in I can't remember the name of the Chaos Theorem, like their sort of ARG website
Mm,
work before Jurassic World came out, the notion that like Hoskins cleaned up the pteranodons that flew off at the end of Jurassic
yeah,
Park 3, and that maybe the Spinosaurus itself was an early
yeah,
experiment that
yeah,
led to I mean, that would be really cool if they were, because I think, it was that kind of initial sort of when Gareth was announced and people thinking that, oh, is this movie gonna be an
yeah,
interquel?
yeah,
God, interquel between
yeah,
JP3 and Jurassic World. And I mean, the reality is that people were just thinking that because Gareth Edwards essentially did something like that before. And I think our imagination is just like, wow, that would be really cool because that is rich ground to
hmm,
explore. And I
yeah,
think it would
definitely,
be really cool. I mean, and who knows,
yeah,
maybe, the shot of the guy
yeah.
in the red, like with the, what, how do you say,
Disastrous
disastrous
Rex.
Rex?
Yeah, I think that's what it.
It's kind of
Or
cool. I
Distortus
thought it was,
Rex. Distortus Rex.
or Distortus. I think it's
Distortus.
just,
Yeah.
but
D-Rex,
I think
whatever.
it's kind of, it's very metal and in the
Yeah.
metal. It's wow, But what if that scene is the scene that takes place between,
Yeah.
JP3 and Jurassic World? I think, I don't know. It's rewatching Rogue One. It just does such a great job of, because I recently, as of this recording, saw Revenge of the Sith in
Mm.
theaters. And back in theaters, I saw it when I was 18, but like thinking about Rogue One and the way that it is able to play into both eras, that feels really
Yeah.
satisfying. Little things like having Gold Leader and Red Leader, like using footage
Yeah.
from A New
Yeah.
Hope in Rogue One, like that to me is also the exciting part about Rebirth. Is I think on a marketing level, it's kind of being like, this is the brand new adventure, like, but yeah, I'm hoping that we will get to see nods to every era. I mean, that was
There'll be callbacks, I'm sure.
yeah, I mean, and that's what's, having rewatched Dominion recently, feeling the sort of JP3 continuum between Alan and
Mhm.
Ellie, and like locking
Mhm.
into that, and having Macy be kind of the vehicle to be like, what was going on with you guys?
Yeah.
And really enjoying that element. they found a way to do it in a playful way without being like, oh yeah, at the end of Jurassic Park 3, like Ellie has moved on and Alan is stuck, and they continued their story in a really satisfying way, to me personally.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it too. I think it was just a joy for me just to see them both on the screen, and to have Ellie be such just a present character in that film, because she was the only one that really wasn't given the chance to lead a Jurassic Park film.
Yeah, no, I wish they had marketed it front and foremost. You know what I mean? Like, I wish there would have been a trailer. Like, you could see the trailer of Dominion where it's, showing old footage of Ellie and then sort of being like, and now her new adventure is to uncover the, sinister biosyn and what they're up to. There's a version of a trailer where you see the movie, or you focus it, because obviously Dominion was so sweeping
huge.
that it kind of gets lost sometimes. But
is there a Jurassic hot take that you're willing to stand by, even if the fandom disagrees?
The Telltale game is not canon and never will be.
Having read your book, I thought that might be the answer.
Oh, that's so funny. Thank you for reading my book. It would be fun to do it kind of feels like this See Jurassic Right is the part 2 to that, because that was written before Jurassic World came out, and it was sort of like, here's collecting all my fandom and my love and thoughts about the franchise up until that point. And it's so funny. I think since then I would love to actually play the game itself, but I've watched it and stuff, and there is just a lot of fun stuff in it. But I think there's a lot of weird things of like having Sarah Harding be Jerry Harding's daughter. Like in my head now, like in 2025, I'm like, that is it also makes Sarah Harding seem creepy, like, like, I mean, then again, in Lost World, Hammond is like, after your incident in the park, she sought you out, like, so there is like, maybe there's I don't know, who knows, but that's definitely a hot take, I guess, for like community specific. Yeah, I don't know. I think that is my hottest take. I think Dominion is, I just really love it. I think Dominion is I definitely was Dominion is my second favorite Jurassic Park movie. But I think I've just been having so much fun with Jurassic Park 3 right now that it's Jurassic Park 3, then Dominion, then Fallen Kingdom, then Lost World, then Jurassic World. What's your list? We won't hold it against you if you change your mind.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to say Jurassic Park 3 is my number 2. That is the film that I've had the most fun watching and rewatching. Then probably Lost World, and then Fallen Kingdom, then Jurassic World, and then Jurassic World Dominions. Probably bottom, but that feels harsh, because again, Jurassic World Dominion feels like the new Jurassic Park 3, because if that film was made at a different time, where it didn't have to deal with COVID and all sorts of other things going on, like I think Colin wanted that to be 2 films. It's essentially 2 films, and he went, and I'm imagining they just said, no, you're going to have 1 film and you're going to have to work it out.
Yeah. No, that's what I've always said about that movie. It's such an embarrassment of riches. But you want to see more of the notion that, I think Dominion's very beautiful in the way that Charlotte's story is, my love of dinosaurs is fueling me to try to make the world a better place. Like what a full circle of Jurassic Park. The idea that I love dinosaurs so much that it is actually motivating me to want to change the world and make the world a better place. But it's 10 minutes of a 2.5 hour movie, or 15 minutes or whatever. And so it's like you want to feel more from all of those kinds of moments, or just even Dotson's return, and just the notion of this guy who is shady and now, is sort of just a, like, under the surface, just like ready to go back to his old ways, but has to keep this clean. Like, and again, like what we said before, like Ellie's thing, like there's just, I want all of it to hit more. So I totally understand why that was just frustrating for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's the dangerous thing of when you're watching a film and you're not just fully invested in everything, then you start thinking about all the bits that might have been different or might have changed. And so that's the kind of constant thing that's in my head of, maybe like more time. That film needed to be like 3.5 hours long to be able to tell the story that it was trying to do.
Wait, have you seen the extended?
Yeah, and I enjoy that. 10 times more. It's much, much better.
I mean, I can't even imagine watching the theatrical again because Rexy's story in the movie like doesn't make sense without the opener.
No.
Like you're like, okay, I see Rexy. There's this Giganotosaurus, and then they fight at the end, but none of it has any emotion or weight to it. But then when you have that intro, you're like, oh, this feels like a Fantasia or a Land Before Time sort of.
Yes.
You know, the dinosaur, it's our hero dinosaur goes to the Great Valley and there's a bully and then teams up with the other dinosaur in the valley at the end to take them down. Like Grant's line, like, oh, it's not about us, rings so much more true when you have the 65 million years ago. Yeah. And I will say that one of my criticisms rewatching it recently, just to throw people a bone who don't like the movie at all, it is kind of funny how many people survive at the end, and it's, you know, like 8 people all running around.
Yeah.
And I almost think that if I had to pick one thing that I think would make people like Dominion better, like if I had one, like just sort of easy, if this happened instead of this, then I think people would maybe like the movie more. I think if Malcolm had sacrificed himself when he gets the flare and, you know, because that would have felt full circle of, he was supposed to die, you know, originally.
Yeah.
And the heroic sort of bravado, the ego, feeling like it was in character. Like it would have, like killing Pratt or like killing Sam Neill or Ellie, like that doesn't make sense narratively or for their characters. But I think if Malcolm had died, I think it actually would have, I don't know, it would have given some
I
juice
was thinking
to that
all the way through that Wu was going to go, because he kind of goes on this redemption arc through Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom. He's kind of like fighting against the people who are trying to force him into making things. He never gets to do what he wants to do, really. He's either working under Hammond or Masrani, and he just wants people to see what he's doing. So, and by the end, he is almost trying to make amends for things. So if there was some sort of sacrifice that he could have made to, you know, so they can escape at the very end, he is the one that stays behind. You know, maybe his fate is unknown, but he's the one that stays on the island with the dinosaurs or something, or in Bison Valley. Yeah.
No, I agree too. I think that would have been, if those two details, I think if both Malcolm and Wu had sacrificed themselves, I think it would have maybe given that ending a little bit more weight. Because I love everything else around it in ways, but it is just visually funny to see that many people like scrambling around dinosaurs.
And then getting on the smallest little helicopter known to man.
I
didn't expect any, like Caleb's, but I didn't expect this many people to have survived by this point. I only brought a small helicopter.
So you're gonna have to hang off the back, you know.
Is there one person within the series that you are just like desperate to interview and talk to?
Yes, I mean, well, the fact that I recently got to chat with DeWanda Wise was truly a dream come true. I'm still pinching myself. That'll might not be out by the time this comes out, but it'll be up in the next month. But the one person I'm really curious to talk to is Katie McGrath, who played. I mean, obviously, I'd love to talk to Laura Dern and Sam Neill, and you know, obviously any of the or Steven Spielberg, obviously all those people. But I think as far as what would be interesting, and it's just because of the Jurassic World's 10-year anniversary, I think the disconnect between like normal audience reaction to her death in Jurassic World to her attitude in the behind the scenes where she's like, I'm splashing around, I'm having a great time, I get to have a classic Jurassic death. Like that disconnect to me is so interesting, and she's never talked about it as far as I know. And it's just one of these weird little things where I think in a vacuum, that scene is one of the best scenes in Jurassic World because it's so horrifying. And the full, like seeing the behind the scenes for that, where she's like on the street talking to Zach and Gray, then the camera moves, then they put the harnesses on her and yank her up in the sky and drag her and drop her in the pool. It's so cool, and there's something so campy and fun about that death. But there was just such a disconnect to the reaction. And even just in, you know, Jurassic Park hates lawyers. Does Jurassic World hate personal assistants? Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel in that way. And so for me personally, I would love to hear her perspective on that whole thing, because there was no really kind of commentary on it, other than I think Colin at the time being like, oh, I didn't realize, oh God, I'm so sorry, I guess, but also it was supposed to be fun, you know, like understandable, but yeah, I don't know. The reaction to it was just such a big thing, and it would be cool to talk to the person in the center of it all.
There was a few things I remember just in the lead up to Jurassic World, and that scene in particular, kind of the death. And I remember Colin, I think at the time, said that, this is the first woman to die in a Jurassic film. So I wanted to make it huge and memorable.
Yeah.
There was also the thing that Josh Whedon was talking about, which is strange to talk about Josh Whedon at this point now. But he was talking about the fact that there was a scene that they released with Claire and Owen and their conversation. And he was like, oh, this dialogue feels like it's written in the Stone Age or something like that, he said. So there was all that sort of thing going on around Jurassic World coming out. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to hear, the take of the person that was actually in it and part of it.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be the, like, I mean, again, Laura Dern, call me. I think we would have a great conversation. But I think Katie McGrath, as far as like just one of those things that I think a lot of lingering of because yeah, there's all kinds of Jurassic mysteries or stuff, mythical sort of lore in the making of, or even in the stories of these movies, where like I would love to just sit down and pick someone's brain about what it was like on the day, what they were thinking.
Incredible. Well, I'd just like to say thank you so much for joining me today. It's just been so much fun just to shoot the breeze and talk about Jurassic.
I was just going to say thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I really appreciate you inviting me on. And yeah, it's exciting. Even though this marketing cycle has been a lot shorter than previous Jurassic films, I feel like it's been I feel like I've met a lot of new people who are being like, Dominion was kind of muted, understandably, because of COVID. And so it's been really exciting to talk to people and get it. Everyone is just more excited about Jurassic Park than ever before, which is really cool.
The best place to be. So where can people find you online?
Stephen Ray Morris on all the things, mostly Instagram and Blue Sky. And yeah, See Jurassic Right basically every week, or we do every week, but whether it's Monday or Tuesday just depends on my other work. But yeah, we're doing lots of fun stuff. I mean, again, I chat with Jurassic community members and content creators, as well as had people who have been in the movies or worked on the movies. And then we get wacky with it. And I talked to a psychologist about all the themes of divorce in all the Jurassic Park movies and Jurassic Dads.
I love all that. Just expanding the world of Jurassic. I think it's really great. And it's such a fun podcast to listen to.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really hope that we can, maybe catch up once Rebirth is out as well.
I would love that. That would be really great.
Amazing.
Yeah, we'll have to be like, oh my gosh, this came true, or oh my, like that stuff. That's always the most fun too.
That's the fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.